You took my dog.
Should we go to the cops? I got enough weaponry in my barn to start an insurrection at Town Hall tomorrow.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2023 action horror, I guess, The Wrath of Becky. The film is co-written and co-directed by Matt Angel and Suzanne Coote. And it stars Lulu Wilson, Sean William Scott, Jill Larson, Michael Cero and Aaron Darla Villa. Now this is the sequel to Becky that came out a couple of years ago, that focused on Lulu Wilson's character, who was a troubled teen who fights off a group of neo-Nazis who invade her home and kill her father. This time round, we meet Becky 2 or 3 years later. She's now 16. She's ran away from 2 or 3 foster homes, and she's living with someone who essentially doesn't ask a lot of questions. She's an elderly lady, and she's actually, living quite a happy life currently. She's working at a local diner, but she still fantasizes about murdering and killing people. Then there is a group of guys come into the diner who are part of a terrorist cell, I guess it's fair to say. These radical, domestic terrorists walk into her diner. She spills coffee on one of them on purpose because they're fairly rude, and they target her, kill someone who's close to her, and even worse than that, they steal her dog. And Becky is just not going to stand for that. So Becky kits herself up, gets prepared, seeks them out to take her revenge. Right, what are my thoughts on The Wrath of Becky? Well, I quite enjoyed the first one that came out a couple of years ago. It felt quite quirky and original. And it was fun, there was some graphic violence in it, and it was a pretty decent watch. I didn't necessarily ever expect a sequel, but we've got one, whether we asked for it or not. Is it a worthy sequel? Well, I have to say, I quite enjoyed this film. I thought it was ultimately incredibly watchable, actually quite a lot of fun, and this, compared to the first one, if you like, it's more comfortable in its own skin now, this film, this franchise, I guess you could call it now. It understands what it is, it's comfortable in what it's doing. The film is fairly short, it's not even 90 minutes long, it's focused, it feels structured, it's fast-paced, it doesn't give you any unnecessary dialogue or plot points or anything like that. It is fast and to the point. We get a 5-minute introduction as to Becky, what happened in the last film, where she is at now in her life, and then within 10 minutes she meets these, domestic terrorists in her diner. Within 15 minutes, boom, she's off, and she's, looking for revenge, basically. So it gets right on with stuff, this film. It doesn't slow it down. It's not a slow-paced film at all. And very similar to the first one, because we got Kevin James in the first film as the villain, and he's more known for comedy, and he pulled that part off very, very well. And this time around, we've got Sean William Scott from the American Pie films as the villain. He's like the head of this terrorist cell. Now, he has played a very interesting character previously. I forget the name of the film, actually, but he played like a Dexter-type character. He was a serial killer, and he was really fabulous in that. So I've seen him do villainous roles, and he could do it, and he's excellent again here. You could argue they don't necessarily give him enough to do. You could argue that they don't necessarily flesh out any of the villainous characters anywhere near enough. But, like I say, the film is trying to keep things short and focused and, pacey. So it's not one of those films where you kind of wait, it finishes, you're just thinking, there wasn't much in the way of character development, because that's ultimately not what it's about. And by the end of this film, you definitely walk away from this, you turn it off and you're kind of like, wow, I could see more of these. And it's definitely hinting that there could be more of these. And we could see Becky go in a completely different directions, which will either, put more steam into the franchise, or it might kill it. Who knows? I'm not saying that there will be a third one. There may never be a third one. But the film certainly gives this franchise, if you like, an opportunity to give us more films. I think Lulu Wilson is absolutely having a ball playing this character, Becky. I think she's a very, very talented young actress. Obviously, if you know Lulu Wilson, she's been in a lot of horror films over the years. You know, she was a little bit of a scream queen, or scream kid, I suppose. She was in Annabelle Creation. I mean, she's done loads. The name is very, very recognisable in the face. And she's kind of branching out now, moving into other things. This is a fine example. The first Becky was a fine example. And I honestly, I think she's very, very talented, and she carries this film superbly. This character, Becky, is she's naughty, but she's almost like she's almost like a vigilante. She's almost a Dexter character herself in a lot of ways. And she's a lot of fun to watch. The kills are just as fun as the first film, if not more so. They're graphic, they're violent. There could have been more of them. I seem to remember there being more kills in the first film. This time round, she doesn't seem as well to have as much of a challenge killing them as she did in the first one. She seems a bit more, I don't know what the right word is really, talented in this one. But she's a bit older as well at the same time. And the final confrontation between her and Sean William Scott's character, you could argue is a little bit of a letdown. And there's a little bit of a twist in the film that, you know, it's not necessarily, you know, mind-blowing or anything, but there's another character turns up in the film. So, yeah, if you enjoyed the first Becky, I think you will absolutely, thoroughly enjoy the sequel. I think, in a lot of ways, this is a more memorable film than the first one. Like I say, I think certainly Lulu Wilson is even more comfortable with this character now, playing this character. And the people behind the scenes understand now this character a little bit more. I'm right in thinking as well, I think Lulu Wilson and Sean William Scott were producers as well. So, honestly, guys, I think this is a lot of fun to watch. It's quirky, it's fun, it's violent. It's not overly serious, and like I say, it understands exactly what it is. It doesn't try to be something it's not. You could argue the first one did take itself maybe a tad too seriously. This one certainly doesn't. It's very, very self-aware of what it is and what it wants to be, and I think it was a lot of fun to watch. I had an absolute ball watching this film. I couldn't give you massive faults with it other than the minor issues that I gave it. I think what is being created here with this new character of Becky is, you know, a fairly iconic, or potentially iconic character sort of thing. I think, you know, she could be very, very memorable going forward. So, yeah, check it out if you enjoyed the first one. I certainly did, and I would be very, very happy to watch more of these. I don't think enough people, you know, watched or talked about the first one, and it was a really quirky, fun little movie. Well, I think this one is probably just a tad better, if I'm being particularly honest. So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.